Yeah, the comments on this one are gonna be fun. Hello, my name is Juan Carlos Bagnell. I'm a human with preferences, and I like dual display phones. I have very specific reasons for enjoying dual display, and I've made numerous videos sharing my thoughts on that topic. I've also been test driving a Fold3 as part of a swap challenge with my pal TK Bay. He has my Duo too. The Fold3 is an incredible piece of engineering, and it's a fantastic accomplishment. A beautiful third beta test representing another improvement towards a folding future. And I really can't wait to return it to TK and get my Duo back. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Many folding tablets that turn into awkward phones. We're already talking about the niche-est of the niche. Looking at an almost $2,000 starting price tag, we're talking about the most exclusive of the exclusive. And we're so early to this game of folding and bending, there is no one right way to do it. Samsung has found some early success in messaging and marketing, but overwhelmingly, the more popular solution in sales will probably be the more familiar Z Flip line of devices. Mini tablets are another beast entirely, and it's only through brutal competition and witnessing a variety of form factors will we start to see some consumer preferences emerge. Generation 3 of this beta test shows so many encouraging improvements, but it also shows we have miles to go. This is life at the bleeding edge of tech. Some of the major claims made by Samsung absolutely deserve recognition. The Hinge is excellent. So good, it might be too stiff. The feel of the internal display has definitely been improved if it still has a bit of that TPU screen protector feel. I still doubt it'll be as long-lived as a proper glass display if you play twin-stick shooters like I do, but we can certainly point to this as significant progress. The power button fingerprint sensor is excellent. It's why I love the Galaxy S10e. It's a proven advantage on Xiaomi and Sony phones. I'll be really happy when we can get rid of all the in-display sensors and go back to tactile landmarks that more naturally interact with evolved primate hands and require less visual attention to operate. The refinement and polish we should expect to see on a third generation device. Why I say this still feels like a beta test though, I think we're running into the limits of what this original shell and form factor can deliver from Samsung. From a material standpoint, and one of the reasons why I like dual display better, the crease on the Hinge is not as easy to ignore as many videos I've seen reference it. There's a noticeable divot, which significantly impacts using the internal display as one continuous surface area. Whenever people dismiss the crease, it's often seen in like a portrait orientation, and you can really hide it if you split screen apps side by side, because then it's just like dual display. Except it's not. If I'm multitasking, I prefer the landscape orientation, so I have a bit more room on apps side by side. Well, now the crease is running horizontally through my apps and it's bending light in even worse ways. And it's not so simple to just look past it. It's one of my major issues with curved glass screens on regular phones. I like to dock my phone in my car in landscape, and depending on the angle of the sun, the light reflecting off that curve can distort or wash out any information that shows up in the top section by my notification shade. That can be really annoying on a slate phone to have that visual disruption on the edge of the screen. It's a constant distraction to have that kind of visual disruption run even thicker right through the middle of your display. Worse still, because this is plastic, it's not a uniform disruption. The plastic is not perfectly creased. The line weaves between the two panels, drawing even more attention to light reflecting at slightly different angles. I see it super clearly in the middle of gameplay, especially from my top-down lighting. Even when the lights aren't perfectly bouncing on the screen, there's almost always an edge of light running right on this crease. This is one of the practical differences that gets harder to ignore when you really spend time living with competing solutions. Having a separation between two displays is demonstrably worse for spanning content across a phone like the Duo, but that's not how I use my Duo. I've definitely picked up a few bad habits while reviewing different phones, but I constantly have two apps going on any phone screen I use. So the Duo is the premier solution for split screen multitasking. For a similar heavy multitasking use, the Fold is not as nice. The materials matter, part 2. This one is super niche and super emotional. I doubt it's gonna bother many people. Few people as much as it bothers me. But the plastic opening sound is like nails on a chalkboard to me. The Z Fold 3 is the tech equivalent of people open mouth schmacking their gum. It's kind of my superpower, and it served me well when I was directing and recording a lot of commercial voiceover, but I have noise sensitivity issues. I've had to leave movie theaters because people near me were chewing with their mouths open. This next part of the video was absolute hell for me to edit, but I do it for you, viewers. I do it for you. Yeah, that's super gross. You wanna know why that's really messed up? How unbelievably disgusting that sound actually is? I reversed the sounds. The lip smacking was really the Fold, and the Fold was really the lip smacking. Vomit. Another small preference issue. I just don't like holding the Fold, or more specifically, I don't like having to cradle it. I absolutely detest the techie conversation, which is so ruthlessly against bezels. Bezels are practical. It's so easy to hold and move with a Duo because there are areas I can properly grip it and not potentially interact with the displays. The Fold affords you no such luxury. We're not talking about average consumers here. We're talking about productivity and advanced smartphone tablet use. What if I really want to use a stylus on the go? On a Duo, I can use one or both screens really easily with a pen. The Fold, I have to claw grip the entire rear of the tablet, and there is no single screen way to use the S Pen. This is not a Note replacement. It's those kinds of experiences that make it a little harder to nail down who the Fold might be right for. If you were a fan of the Note and liked how it was really like having a little digital notepad in your pocket, the Fold is not gonna scratch that itch. I make jokes about how the Duo is so deliberate to use, but the hinges on a Duo are effortless to open compared to the Fold, which requires a lot more force. It's a more deliberate action requiring more attention to get to that larger display. And this brings me to software. And here I'm gonna try and build some Duo Fold bridges. Samsung and Microsoft, and to a much lesser degree since they're out of the game now, LG, deserve a metric poop ton of credit for what they've been able to do with Android. I think it's pretty clear Google's larger screen focus has been on Chrome OS, and Chromebooks are selling like hotcakes. Android has withered for years as a solution for tablets. My main recommendation for a nice premium slate has been the Galaxy Tab. Not because of any fancy hardware, but because of DeX. Because you can avoid using the Android UI on a larger canvas. So to see these two tech companies stretch Android well past its breaking point and deliver consumer-facing solutions is admirable. It's exciting. As we await the public release of Android 12L, we have to credit these two as the primary motivation bringing interest back to Android as a tablet-friendly OS. But now here's the part where I tell you why I like the Duo better. Remember, I want to do more on screen at once. It's why I'm not a huge fan of iPads and why the Fold feels kind of clumsy to me. When I launch an app on the Duo immediately fills one panel, and the phone UI remains on the other panel for me to open another app. If I swivel to single screen, there is no reformat to the aspect ratio or change in orientation. This is the most beautifully applied hardware for seamlessly moving in and out of multitasking situations. I have an issue with the Fold where using this larger slab of screen means I'll see way less information on that screen. The split screening is great, but the multiple steps required to engage split screen take longer than on a Duo. And apps that are taking great advantage of dual display are a bit more finicky on the Fold. The solution for things like app pairs is fine, I guess, but I can't perfectly predict which two apps I'll want to use, to the point where I'd almost need custom app pairs for almost every app and game on my phone. I have to manage those interactions more on a Fold. I just don't think about them on a Duo. Kind of mixed. Pros and cons for things like aspect ratios in movies. Now, if I want to prop up a Duo or a Fold as a stable little clamshell, the Fold is a little better for cinema-wide video, but there's not as much I can do on the second half of the screen. The Duo letterboxes more on widescreen content, obviously, but TV shows look way better in 16:9 and 4:3, and I have way more room to work or game on the other screen. If we prop each phone up with the hinge vertically, I find the Duo is easier to keep stable thanks to that shorter form factor and wider panels. But video looks really silly. The Fold makes better use of its display when streaming video and working on a document in this orientation, but I don't like the content being bent so sharply in the middle of the screen, and I am worried that it is just a bit top heavy. Heyo, just popping in real quick. I always appreciate people supporting the channel, subscribing, smashing that bell icon, but let's be honest, YouTube, absolutely miserable at really serving up notifications for when new videos go out. Please keep smashing the bell icon because algorithm. But if you head on over to SomeGadgetGuy.com/subscribe, you're gonna see a whole crazy list of playlists and RSS links, ways that you can better stay up to date on all the kinds of content that I produce. Better still, you can drop those RSS feeds into an RSS reader, or sometimes even into a podcast app, get those up-to-date notifications, and you can customize the feeds that I've put together. Maybe you only want my hearing health videos and you like it when I pick on Samsung. You can customize that and make it exactly for you. Once again, SomeGadgetGuy.com/subscribe, and thanks so much for supporting the channel. Both of these devices show, though, that with some minor compromises, they're fantastic solutions for travel work, especially when space is at a premium. There's no way I'm gonna trot out a laptop on an airplane ever again if I can help it. And I've been in some hotel rooms where the desk they include in the room was très petite. I think this is the main point I need to drive home for this whole video. If we're really tech enthusiasts living at the bleeding edge of mobile technology, mini tablets with hinges, we have to push back against this lazy reviewer notion of being the beta tester. Like that's a bad thing. This is still a public beta. This is still a public beta. Neither of these in any way, shape, form, or price could be considered mainstream ideas. But if we want them to get better and eventually go mainstream, we have to participate, especially while this tech is so fresh. Life at the bleeding edge for any kind of consumer tech means you're signing up to be a beta tester. Might be new camera sensors. It might be a new processor or GPU. It might be a tablet or a phone with a hinge. I'm still personally anxious about folding screens, but I'm encouraged that a whole new round of foldables are coming out that are not just lame copycats of this idea. After the original Galaxy Note launched, when other phone screens started getting bigger, we saw a ton of experimentation with aspect ratios and different features. And now that tablets are getting bendy, the right place to be now is experimenting with different aspect ratios and different features. There are not any winners in this space yet, and we should all be working to encourage more competition in this space so we get the best possible products ruthlessly verified by the market that we can get. If you're a Fold owner, you should be critically excited by Microsoft successes, because that's where a Fold owner is going to get better software and developer support. As I'm a Duo fan, I'm critically interested in what Samsung is doing in this space, because that's how I'm gonna get a better Duo. I have enjoyed my time with the Fold3. I at least have a stronger idea of who I might recommend buy a Fold. And like the Duo, it's a very positive recommendation for a tiny niche of potential consumers. The Fold3 is absolutely brilliant for what it is. It's just not for me. And definitely keep an eye out on TK Bay's channel. He's gonna have some content coming out soon about his experiences using my Duo 2. I think we'll also hook up to do another in-person live stream to share some of our thoughts and answer your questions. Definitely something you're gonna wanna keep an eye out for if you've been curious about life at the bleeding edge of tech. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, subscribing to the channel. Supporting this channel, always greatly appreciated. If you're clicking on the links down below in the description, or if you're shopping a little merch, that kind of stuff really helps keep production rolling on this channel. Full list, all my affiliates and partnerships on SomeGadgetGuy.com, or you might consider, just maybe, joining the list of names scrolling by on your screen from my Patreon, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. This list is a collection of the coolest tech pals in the galaxy. So I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy on the Twitters and the Twitch. Not so much on the Facebooks and the Instagrams, and I will catch you all on the next review.